Actually, one of the first word we use on even babies is no.
And no, sometimes it's not about refusing, tak nak buat. I can see from my experience, sometimes they are saying no, tapi sebenarnya apa yang mereka perlukan adalah more information.
We need to investigate why suddenly is the no coming, and it's been yes all the while.
Don't do that. Don't touch that. Don't walk without looking left or right. Yeah, that I think instinctively is the protective mechanism.
Hello dan selamat datang ke Kita Family Podcast episod ke-75. Kami di Kita Family Podcast selalunya membincangkan perihal berkaitan dengan makna serta kepentingan hidup bermasyarakat. Kami juga menghargai keunikan serta kepelbagaian sesama kita dan meraihkan masyarakat yang berbilang agama, kaum, kepercayaan, rupa dan juga keupayaan. Kami juga menghargai hidup secara inklusif yang mengambil kira keperluan segenap lapisan masyarakat, terutama mereka yang kurang atau mereka yang berkelainan upaya. Hari ini kami merakamkan episod ke-75, a milestone for us, another one. Dan semasa rakaman ini, saya juga sangat berbangga kerana ada quorum yang just -1. So we will start with on my right, is Desiree kat studio.
Hi.
Next to her, Kakak SK.
Apa khabar?
KN, joining us from Kota Kinabalu, Didi.
Assalamualaikum, salam sejahtera.
Hari ini kita akan membincangkan satu topik yang saya rasa adalah sangat relevan kepada kesemua ibu bapa, penjaga dan juga tenaga pengajar, terutama apabila kami perlu mendidik dan juga mendisiplin anak-anak kami, walaupun neurotypical ataupun neurodivergent. So the topic is called When Children Say No, with an emphasis with when autistic children say no. So when neurodivergent say no, does it mean anything different? With that, I need to acknowledge that actually one of the first word we use on even babies is no. Right? A child starts doing something and they will be triggered with no, right? We don't say oh tidak, right? Every parent with whichever language they're using will say no. So if they're touching something they shouldn't, if they are moving towards an area which is dangerous, if they're putting something in their mouth, every parent will go no. So one of the first words a child learns is also no. That's provided they are verbal. But, you know, in an Asian parenting setting, we are quite used to exercising our right to say no to a child. But let's explore what it's like if it's the other way around. So it's about understanding and whether we are actually forcing compliance with that single word, no. Let's start with Didi. Didi, how would you relate this?
Well, having two autistic teenagers, they say no in many, many different ways. Verbally, with body language, with other words other than no. So without saying no, but, you know, saying no without saying no. So what I can see from our experience kan, ada yang bila kita bagi tahu, okay, nanti kita nak pergi sini. So instead of saying macam okay, terus macam freeze tau. Freeze and macam ada shaking sikit. Ada macam tu. Ada juga yang not now, refusing, tak nak buat sekarang. Not now mama, not now. Ada yang masanya dia grunt. Tapi kadang-kadang granting buat juga. So maybe half no. So ada ada lagi yang macam buat-buat tak dengar, because I'm sure dia dengar tapi dia pretend tak dengar sebab ignore lah, macam mama suruh tapi buat tak tahu je. So many different ways. And no, sometimes it's not about refusing, tak nak buat. I can see from my experience, sometimes they are saying no, tapi sebenarnya apa yang mereka perlukan adalah more information. I need to know more. Because with the information yang mama cakap dalam satu ayat yang pendek ni, no. Tapi bila kita explain, kita cerita, oh it's not now, it's next week. Lepas tu kita beritahu apa akan jadi sebelum, selepas. Dia jadi lebih boleh diterima. Sebab sebenarnya mungkin disebabkan oleh anxiety lah. They don't know what is going to happen. Tapi bila kita ceritakan flow tu, oh boleh terima. So a no sebenarnya adalah asking mama for more info. Ada ketikanya sebab tengah shock main game, mama suruh buat homework. No! So from a preferred activity to a non-preferred activity. So tak nak juga. And then yelah kan, biasalah kan, malas. And then not in the mood of doing things. So all this yang masa kita kecil-kecil dulu sangat obedient, anak yang sangat taat ni, bila dapat anak yang autistik, memang perlu ubah cara parenting. Tak boleh sama macam apa yang ibu saya buat pada saya sendirilah. Bukan nak kata budak-budak ni degil, but penerimaan dia. Macam saya cakap tadi lah, kadang no is because nak lebih info, no because tak ready, no because tak suka nak buat perkara tu, ataupun takut. Macam from past experience kan, oh pergi satu tempat ni tak best. And then bila kita bagi tahu kita nak pergi situ, oh no tak nak. Sebab teringat kan dia punya history, mungkin bad experience saya pergi dari segi sensory, bad experience dari segi apa yang terjadi pada waktu tersebut. So yeah, those are our experience lah in this household.
Okay, so Didi, what I gather also is, which was one word you tak guna, tapi I rasa ada juga, instead of saying no, sometimes it's later, because it's postponing the event, right?
Yes, yes.
It's
Not now.
Yeah,
not now.
Yeah, not now or later, right? Like Emmy, go brush your teeth. Later, right? It's but that's also a form of no, right? Or not yet. Yeah. So when we are dealing with that, so can no also mean procrastination?
Yeah. Tak nak buat lagi. I don't want to do it now.
Okay.
Tapi that's the thing. Because of their executive functioning yang belum mature lagi, they think that they would do it later. But then if you don't go and remind them again, they just don't do it. So kadang-kadang dia punya later tu tak boleh pakai juga tu. So mama kena come and remind them.
Okay. So they still need a prompt for the later. And what you were also trying to get across was, sometimes it's because of maybe lack of language, that instead of saying, why do I have to do this, it comes across as a no. Would that be also quite relevant?
Yes.
Would you expect from a neurotypical, like, why do I have to do this? That I think that's a phrase we rarely hear from neurodivergent. So I'm going to put that question to Kakak now.
So as I was listening to both of you, even at your introduction, as parents, we use the word no. Sebenarnya from a protective standpoint, kan?
Yes.
No, because we are concerned that the child may be harmed. Don't do that. Don't touch that. Don't walk without looking left or right. Yeah, that I think instinctively is the protective mechanism. So if I move that towards then the individual who says no, perhaps, and we were referring to typical individuals, they have a sense that they need to be safe. And that's why safe got several aspects. Safe from the typical safety. Safe is maybe they're still enjoying that very fun, dopaminergic, we use the big words,
Okay.
games. So it doesn't feel comfortable or fun when I have to stop my gaming. I know my kids won't be happy that I use gaming as an example.
Okay, so what if they're having fun in the swimming pool? Memang shock main air.
So that shock, then we were talking about procrastination.
Yeah.
Kan? So it is not comfortable. Perhaps there are different stages of comfort that becomes discomfort, and discomfort can become stretch into procrastination, and sometimes perhaps that goes into the areas of stress because they are trying to avoid. So it comes across as procrastination. Okay, maybe it's procrastination because the next task is going to be harder. Not the current task, is the next task. Yeah. So I think in the context then of our neurodivergent children or individual, there are sensory levels, there are different ability of planning and organizing. We'll pull all this or magnify it lah. Akan membesarkan masalahnya such that it becomes a no. It's much faster to say no than to try to explain away. I think perhaps that then comes out as that behavior lah.
Okay, so kakak, carrying on from that. So if katalah anak neurodivergent tu cakap no, perlukah kita sebagai caregiver ataupun parent menyiasat kenapa dia cakap no? Is that like a done thing? Is that something you would recommend in allied health? Because it's a form, as you said, of communication.
Yeah. Thank you, Anit. I think as we continue to learn, I would almost say it can be an automatic, preferred response when there is a no. Why is there a no? Is it because apa yang we've asked the individual to do is beyond their ability? There's discomfort to them, and it might be some sensory issues they cannot process, and it will be much better for us to respond, not to react and say, alamak, nakal. Refuse to obey. We all say, child, you must obey. But I think if we continue to have that inquisitive mind, why is there a no this time? Okay? Why is there a continuous no? And that is the communication we can start to learn to listen, to respond, and not react lah. That is our ideal state lah.
Okay. So I'm going to now turn to Desiree and ask her. Okay, Desiree, there's some things that are so obvious they will say no. But there are others like if, let's say you know a child suka makan ayam goreng. Okay. And or ayam nuggets. And then tiba-tiba, no. Would that trigger something in you? Should that trigger something in a parent or a caregiver or a care partner?
For sure, sebab ini benda yang mereka sangat suka. So, and then like the question you asked kakak tadi kan, we need to investigate why suddenly is the no coming, and it's been yes all the while. Is it sensory? Is it something with the taste? Adakah nugget tu dari tempat yang lain? Maybe whether it's nugget KFC ke, nugget McDonald's ke, nugget Mary Brown, this taste is different. And I know this because with Hans, whose favorite was McDonald's at one point, still is, I know, but we've managed to set some healthy boundaries around it. So his favourite is always McD. Tetapi dia faham kalau McD tu tak ada, dia akan cari KFC or A&W. So dia dah kenal the logo. So he has an order of preference lah. So I'm sure there is a reason behind the no, right? And the other thing also I want to touch on, I'm just going to go right into it if you don't mind. In our children and our friends who are maybe non-speaking or non-verbal.
Absolutely.
So how does the no come out?
Yeah. How do they communicate?
How do they communicate? So this comes in a form of sometimes retaliatory behavior. Maybe it starts with a tantrum and then it prolongs into a meltdown, right? And banyak kali lah tadi pun before we started, when we were bersembang and planning, this episode, the one word that saya selalu dengar, and I'm not criticizing it, I'm just saying it's very frequently used, it's called behavior. So bila even if you're speaking in Bahasa Melayu, we use the word behavior. Whether it's teachers ke, therapists, when you pick up your child from therapy ke sekolah ke, therapist or teacher will say, oh, hari ni anak pun ada behavior sikit. And we understand it as the behavior to be negative or non-compliant.
It's a negative connotation of
connotation.
behavior.
So that is their way of expressing and maybe saying the word no. So my experience with it was, of course, saya pun seperti Didi, parents yang sangat strict masa kecil, no means no. This phrase was very popular in my house. It's either my way or the highway. Kan? Very popular. Or children are seen and not heard, right? So these are speak only when you're spoken to. So all this was how we were brought up. But bila dah dapat anak yang autistic, cara kita pun kena berubah, which was very, very difficult for me. So I had to unlearn a lot of things and relearn it. And what I learned about no is, first thing is learn behavior, kan? Every child learns through imitation. But we know our autistic kids memang susah to imitate. Tetapi, if they don't imitate, tak semestinya mereka tak faham. They are absorbing everything that we do and everything that we say. So, mereka dah tahu perkataan no ni yang mereka dengar sejak baby lagi. No, right? It's the first word. No or tidak or jangan, right? So, they learn it and so they start thinking that it's okay for them to say it to us or act it out to us. So when I went for various parent trainings, one of it was to actually understand autism from the autistic's perspective. And I was asked this question. Out of the 10 times you say no to your child, how many times was that no really necessary? Right? Because sometimes we say no sebab, alah takutlah air tumpah nanti ibu kena lap. Oh, takutlah nanti this will mess. Oh no, you will upset the clothes. Kalau ambil baju macam ni, nanti dia jatuh. Then you're restricting him or her from choosing the clothes they want to use, kan? So, it's about choosing the instances that we want to say no. And when I personally experimented with this, saying no less, when I actually say no, dia dengar. Boleh je dia faham. Like, I've given in to you every single thing that you want to do. This is a no. And when it comes to safety, the no is a boundary. Meaning, the no is forever a no lah. Untuk selama-lamanya, we will say, tak boleh panjat dinding. That is a no forever. Kan? We're not going to say, oh, for example, macam main phone kan. If we say, hari ni we say no, tomorrow we say yes. Then next day when you say no, confirm lah dia tantrum. Sebab the other day you say yes. So, there are many ways to dissect this.
So what I'm getting from you is kena consistent. Janganlah hari ni okay, besok tak okay. Hari ni yes, tomorrow maybe.
Tak boleh lalangkan the no.
Yes. So dia kena very, very specific circumstances di mana perkataan no digunakan untuk anak-anak kita belajar berkenaan compliance with that specific no. Okay, boleh tak kita maybe dissect a little bit further? Should it be used more for behavior, or should the word you used was behavior, or should it be used for a potential danger, or should it be used in a different form when communicating our displeasure? So Okay, dia dah jadi generic with like the Malaysian word jom. You know, right? So no is that generic word like jom, right? So we're trying to dissect as to whether for better communication as parents, we should be using different varieties. And what's your view on that? Because you used the word behavior earlier, right? So is it only for behavior or is it for something else?
Depending on the context. So katakan behavior tersebut bahaya. Of course, you're going to go, your first instinct is no, right? So you're sending a message that what you're doing is dangerous. If there are things that maybe you can let go and not say the word no immediately, then later talk about and explain why. So even in that instance where the behavior is happening and it's dangerous and you're saying no, I think it's always good to later at a calmer time sit down and explain why. Right? So I think that is the root of it. The no is the reaction, like Kakak said, right? The no is the reaction, and we are all human lah. We are all going to do it in every instance. But I think it's also when we can take a step back and respond, regardless what it is, take a step back and respond. For example lah, if your child is running towards a ledge and going to fall off, your first instinct is going to be
Pull him back.
pull back. But if the child is already standing on the ledge, are you going to scream or are you going to calmly walk over and pull him or her down? It takes a lot of willpower, right? I don't think any one of us can answer that.
No.
Right. Yeah, but I think the point I'm trying to make is we need to find that time to sit and explain, regardless anak kita verbal ke non-verbal, even the non-verbal, especially the non-verbal ones, pemahaman mereka sangat tinggi. They can understand us. So take that time to sit and explain.
Okay, so I'm going to put another connotation. We have used to say the word no being expressed. What about our actions? Kadang-kadang kita tak cakap no. Kita pukul tangan. Dia
Tarik
tengah,
je.
dia tengah nak buat something, kita pukul tangan. Okay, so ataupun kita tarik baju untuk menghalang dia daripada melangkah ke depan. Okay? Ataupun ada kalanya kita berdiri macam ni. Okay?
I do the tarik baju thing, I admit.
So there's a lot of different behaviours yang kita guna sebagai parents untuk communicate ataupun berkomunikasi apa yang kita rasa sebagai seorang penjaga atau ibu bapa adalah tidak sesuai untuk anak itu. So, Didi, would you like to comment on that? On this? Yes.
Yes. So basically, what we've been talking about, although macam terbalik sikit, we are talking about how parents say no, kan? Yeah. So kita sebagai parents, we kind of like use our authority. So when I say no, this is the boundary, ini macam mana kan? So I realized that what has been happening to one of my daughters kat sekolah, dia punya communication behave, okay, Desiree cakap behavior.
You can say the word behavior, no problem.
No. I mean like, no, I mean, you are right.
Yeah.
It is behavior at school. Bila ada budak lain buat bising, menjerit ataupun ada verbal steaming, She reacted sometimes by screaming, sometimes she got a little bit aggressive, she got physical as well. So those are macam kita, bila kita cakap no pada anak kita is authority. Dia pun rasa, I don't like this, I don't like people making loud noises around me. I don't like it. So she was saying no with her behavior. Which of course kita pun nak train dia supaya behave in a better way, supaya tak disruptive, tidak mencederakan orang lain, tidak mengganggu kelas, dan juga good for herself. Sebab of course bila dia misbehave, after that dia pun rasa frust lah, macam oh, I should have not done that. So that's why sekarang teacher and including me also teaching her alternative behavior. She can walk away. She can also remind her friend not to become too loud. So, you know, there's a thing. dalam kita sebagai ibu bapa ni rasa kita ada authority, every individual children pun sebenarnya they also want to have that authority kan. Dia pun rasa macam I don't want to be in this situation. Ada yang dia tak, yelah, kalau bising tu sensory wise lah kan.
So the same way we talk about so the same way we talk about repeating, Didi, macam dulu kalau kita cakap no, budak-budak pun akan cakap no. So sekarang kalau kita kata kita tak suka bila budak tu steaming ke, sangat bising ke, oh why is it so noisy, it's like a marketplace. So they feel probably they have the authority to say that when they are in class, because that's the kind of parenting that is reflected at home as well. So with that, how would we try to explain to a child that our role as parents is different from their behavior to of mimicking? I use the word mimicking because a lot of applied behavior therapies also use that as a form of reinforcement to say follow what I do, and that they keep repeating and we repeat, and that's how they do it. How do we put that in context?
Kalau boleh, Didi, did I interrupt you? Did you want to share?
No, it's okay, go on. No, it's okay, go on.
I am taken by what you mentioned, how the school tried to give her, model for her, or remind her there is an alternative way to respond. Now, it's not just parents, but for people around us, the response or the action, will be modeled. Okay, so if when we are angry, we shout, okay, that is the learned response, because as an individual, we don't define response versus reaction. We learn that, betul? So in behavior, I know how we are fans of regulation, kan? So if a no is said in a very harsh or angry way, okay, so the sound, the tonality will also be learnt. So where I'm going for is, it's not just the body language, but it's also maybe as carers or educators, particularly with our neurodiverse individuals who have the tendency to be very sensitive, who may not have an ability to control their response as well. More importantly is our ability to calm ourselves down or use a different way of saying no. Yeah, perhaps in a more encouraging way. In the Montessori education, they are very mindful of what is spoken. Yeah, so the response to the no's or the way we say no, we may need to rephrase lah. Would you consider? Now, we can go and compare, this is Western culture or Asian culture, tapi sebenarnya everybody will recognize when there's somebody kinder, got more patience, the way they say things will come across less threatening. So kadang-kadangnya, even the no in the tone pun, just tone alone, we learn that. It's a learned thing. It's a learned way to communicate.
Okay, and it's all about making the child feel safe.
That is it. That's in the end, I think the no's, as I mentioned, fundamentally, when parents or adults say no, we are there to guard. But in our excitement, which can become and anxiety, our no, the way we say it pun in tone, is actually demonstrating our own anxiety.
And also demanding compliance.
Demanding compliance because we have many social expectations. Yeah. When our children, I'll use that for simple, don't behave the way we would
Like them to in public, especially.
especially in public, if that behavior is awkward, yeah, maybe stigmatizing, yeah, unfortunately, it becomes our anxiety. And that anxiety, as we continue to use that co-regulation word, comes out like that. Yeah, the tantrum, that stamping of feet, is the communication. I would say it is not inappropriate for adults to stamp their feet. However, we have learned, social behavior that have got us learning. The word is not social skill. Remember, we are now moving to, are you competent socially?
Okay.
And in learning that is quite a hard learning to consistently behave in that way.
Okay, so with that competent socially theme, we'll take a short break and come back and explore a little more after the break. We will see you very soon. Selamat kembali ke episod ke-75 Kita Family Podcast. Hari ini we are discussing the power of no in autistic kids and what it actually means. So before the break, kita telah berbincang berkenaan boundaries and behaviors and how this is to draw those boundaries. Sekarang kita akan bincang sedikit sebanyak as to what it means when we ask a question as parents and we know the answer is going to be no. Okay, can I start with Desiree? Yeah.
Okay, so just to give an example lah, katakanlah, and sometimes we know we are setting ourselves up for it. We go and say, would you like to put on your shoes? When you know the child doesn't want to go out, then you go and say, would you like to put on your shoes? Obviously, the answer is going to be no. Right? So these are, and also bearing in mind that a lot of our autistic friends and children are quite literal. Right? So if you say, do you want this? They're going to say no. Right? So how do we deal with those situations? So I would say sometimes maybe take a step back. Faham lah, kadang-kadang kita ni in a hurry, we need to get from point A to point B. We'll be like, oh, do you want to wear your shoes? In that sense, sometimes I actually prefer the Asian way. So I go like, Hans, put on your shoes, we're going out. So there's no chance to say no. Right? It's an instruction. So maybe we can, I don't know, I'm going to lantun back this question to Anit. What are your thoughts on that? Do we want to ask a question or do it what I call the Asian way and just instruct?
I think it's a form of altering the mode of communication. Depending on how a child will respond. Kalau kita tahu budak tu memang pandai atau literal akan cakap no, and that's going to screw up your plans of going up and going out, you then just give an instruction or do a social story to say, we are going out. What are the steps when we are going out? Step 1, we get dressed. Step 2, we put on our shoes. Step 3, we get into the car. So it's a mode of communication. I do understand where Desiree is coming from, because when our child who is probably learning social skills and speech and language therapy, we're always told to engage, to try to get to know what the child wants and perhaps ask a question. So we need to choose those times when we would like to ask a question. Maybe on the dinner table, would you like some water? Or would you like another drink? Then the no is not so painful.
But you have to draw the line with, do you want more vegetables?
Absolutely.
And go with, here is some more vegetables.
I think you need a little bit more vegetables.
Yes.
Sebenarnya here is, if I can jump in, the power of no to, that is the key word, the pre-word, the prefix. It's not a prefix. A lot of times, it is a negotiation of power. And perhaps then as the more mature and carer, giving more notice, it comes back to the basic planning, giving more time, giving notice. The contoh that you gave just now is particularly when we are in a hurry. I believe that's when I come back to the word stress, of needing to move in a pace that becomes a challenge. So their inability to perform then will react to the no. Love the story, and we always then have to be mindful as the person who leads, be watchful that we have the ability to get the answer we wish. It is back to having that met expectation of either a goal or that social context .
I want to put another rigid context sebab macam anak saya dulu dia sangat rigid dengan timetable. Kalau subjek tu 40 minit, kalau cikgu nak extend sikit 5 minit, dia tak boleh. No, time's up, it's time to go. Dia rigid. So sampai cikgu tu kata dia frust. Dia tak tahu macam mana nak deal with this rigid boy who would say time needs to end now. And sometimes that is when the teacher is taking an extra 5 minutes to tie up, to bagi homework, bagi arahan. And I remember sitting there and saying, Sir, have you ever tried saying, I know time is going to be up, but today we have a change. We are going to extend by 10 minutes because we haven't completed this. And the next time I saw the teacher, he said, oh, it really works like magic. Because the expectation of the child is that. So if let's say, macam Desiree buat tadi, Hans, we're going out now, put on your shoes. Dia dah buat, tiba-tiba Desiree dapat phone call and dia tengah borak. Lepas tu tantrum lah. I want to go now.
I've already put on my shoes. What are you doing?
So I'm throwing this back at Didi because with 2 neurodivergents, what would that situation be and how would the entire situation evolve?
Yeah. Okay, before nak cerita pasal anak-anak, nak cerita pasal diri sendiri dulu. But something that I can relate. This, I think I can call it cognitive ability yang sangat terhad di waktu pagi because I'm not a morning person. So whenever my husband nak bagi tahu dia perlu pergi outstation, kalau pagi-pagi dia bagi tahu, dalam my mind terus no. Terus sampai no. Tapi kalau dia bagi tahu lepas lunch atau over dinner, okay je because it's part of this job. And bukan tak pernah outstation. I'm like, oh, okay, you need to go outstation. Oh. So, timing is very important.
Okay.
For me, pagi lah. But for our neurodivergent, it can be any time. So, boleh tengok juga. And then, anak-anak kita bukan baru dapat diagnosis sehari. Kita pun dah tahu that they are autistic for more than 10 years already. And temperament, personality, setiap anak-anak tu pun kita dah kenal. So, memang kita bila nak ajak pergi mana-mana, bagi itinerary siap-siap. We are going to have a trip back to KL next month in October. Dah bagi tahu. Dah last month August lagi dah bagi tahu. Okay, Oktober kita akan balik sekian-sekian untuk ini. Sebab ada ketikanya bila kita nak ajak pergi ke suatu tempat ataupun buat sesuatu aktiviti tu bukan their preferred activities. They won't give an instant yes. Kan? Sebab atas urusan keluarga, bukan yang menyeronokkan mereka lah. Jadi perlu more information. So bila kita dah amalkan selalu bagi informasi kan, apa yang perlu dibuat, lama-lama diorang sendiri pun akan tanya tau. Macam contoh kan, bila dah weekend especially ataupun weekday pun, anak-anak akan tanya, oh hari ni ada pergi mana-mana? Ataupun tanya macam, do I have any extra classes today? So diorang pun keep checking as well if there's anything ataupun schedule yang diorang tak ingat tapi diorang nak tahulah. So perjalanan. So we try to not have too many surprises, but at the same time, we nampak mood tengah baik, we still challenge jugalah. Challenge in a nice way lah. Ajak macam, jom kita pergi sini, jom pergi tempat-tempat yang tak biasa pergi, aktiviti yang tak biasa buat. So ada masa we get a yes, ada masa tak nak. But we also believe that selagi tak bagi experience, diorang pun tak tahu yang pergi rabbit farm ni seronok. Kalau mula rasa macam rabbit lah, tapi bila pergi seronok rupanya, contohlah kan. So it's a lot of banyak analysing lah, and then looking back retrospectively, apa yang anak kita suka, how they have reacted before, how macam bila kita nak suruh buat something kan, instead of saying let's go now, kita bagi time lah. Okay, sekarang pukul 1:30 kita nak keluar. So bagi time, so 30 minit, so they have time to finish up what they are doing. Tengah main game ke, tengah baca buku ke, ataupun tengah baring baru nak pergi mandi. So we try our very best not to rush. Kalau rush tu, kalau kita mungkin 10 minit boleh siap, tapi kalau kita expect the same for them, and then marah-marah macam cepatlah, lagilah kita rubbing off our anxiety, our marah-marah ni pada mereka, and the outcome pun tak best sangat lah. So that's what our experience had been so far.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to a theme that Didi introduced at the start of this episode. Sebab dia kata ada sebahagian anak-anak kita, anak-anak neurodivergent, yang bila nak cakap no, dia akan freeze atau menjadi kaku. So some people can perceive that, kenapa anak ni tiba-tiba jadi kaku? Dia biadab ke? Sebab dia macam blank. And tidak memberi apa-apa respons yang socially appropriate. Okay. Now, in that context, we want to also introduce another concept called PDA, Pathological Demand Avoidance. So I'm going to pass it to Desiree to introduce that in context, and then come back to the whole power of no from a non-verbal setting.
Okay, so it's important to understand PDA ni dia bukan diagnosis yang official lah. Okay, memang ini satu terma yang I would say fairly new in the world of neurodiversity.
Okay, so let's get this clear. PDA is not a public display of affection, yeah?
No.
We all know it.
Children of the 80s, that's what we understand the PDA to be.
Okay.
But
So this is Pathological Demand Avoidance,
or PDA. And it is recognized in some parts of the world, not everywhere. And my understanding is in UK, is recognized as part of the profile of autism. Okay, and it can be seen as, it simply put lah, avoiding demands. Kan? So like what Anit said, it could come across as being defiant or purposely being difficult. You don't want to do things, high anxiety around demand, so higher chances of maybe having what you call it, back and forth. Why is the word not coming to me now?
No, even it's in terms of transitions and engagement.
Yes, correct. Okay, and also there's a sense of need to feel in control. And like what Kaka also always says, it comes from a place of stress and anxiety, and in some cases trauma as well. And they will come up with perhaps social strategies sometimes to avoid this demand. So for example, the example that Anit just said, that you ask a question and they freeze up when you don't answer. they avoid it. Okay, I'm also going to share some features that Nori couldn't be here with us today, but she shared some examples of what autistics say they feel when they feel that there's a perceived demand. So things that they feel are extremely jittery, vulnerable, panicky, anxious, the urge not to see anyone, to cocoon up, agoraphobia, meaning the fear of leaving your home or your home setting, heart pounding and feeling tense. Right. So this is just a very loose. What I've just shared is just a very loose definition of what PDA is. There's a whole lot of information. I think if you really want more info on PDA, there is PDA Society of UK. There's a lot of information there. And again, I want to emphasize this is very new and not an official diagnosis, but it is recognized as part of the profile of autism and can come across like what Anit said. Anak ni macam biadab lah. Oh, anak ni macam
naughty
sengaja lah dia tak nak, just being defiant. But no, it's the demand that it feels like a bunch. It feels very stressful. That was the word I was looking for. It feels very stressful to them. So it feels like a demand. It could be something simple, like we go back to the shoes, right? So for example, if I say, Hans, put on your shoes, and he's gonna just stamp his feet or grunt or just run away, right? He's just avoiding the task because for many reasons. Right? So that's one example that I can give.
Okay, so for all you know, the sweet shoes are wet and dia tak suka pakai kasut yang basah.
Exactly. Oh, maybe it's out of his routine. I didn't explain the transitions to him. I didn't take the time to tell him, why are we going out at 5 today instead of 4, you know? Or why am I tearing him away from his TV that he loves so much? Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just going to list down some tips for parenting or teaching children with PDA profiles. If you feel a child tu memang ada PDA, and apakah yang kita sebagai parent boleh buat? One of the things is to lower our demands. Okay, anak tu memang tak nak buat benda ni pada masa ini, kita suruh dia buat sikit-sikit, lama-lama jadi bukit. So lower demands. The next is to use indirect language. Bukannya mengarah, tetapi menjadikan satu proses komunikasi di mana anak tu juga boleh engage dengan kami dan juga beri mereka peluang. Why don't you try this? Shall we try it together? So itu adalah satu cara untuk menggunakan indirect language. Lepas tu untuk incorporate play and creativity, untuk mengajak anak tu membuat satu task, kita use creative play to do that. Next is to respect autonomy.
Make it fun.
Yeah. Make it fun, yes, as Didi said. Respect autonomy, to say he and she are individuals. Bukannya semua kena ikut mak bapa, which is a very unconventional thing for Asian parents, because we are very used to dictating. We're very used to saying this is how it's going to be. So again, as Kakak said, it's a change of mindset that we have to have. And as Desiree very clearly pointed out, she had to unlearn some of the parenting techniques that we grew up with. And finally is to anticipate triggers. If you know asking a child to go into a swimming pool is going to trigger the child, if not done step by step, then the no is a real cry for help. And you need to anticipate those triggers. Now I'm going to throw it back and say, as parents ourselves, Kakak, maybe what would be the strategies that you would say would be practical for parents to use when dealing with the no?
Yeah. I before I go there, I'm reminded listening, in the contoh-contoh tadi kan, from Didi, to go out somewhere, there's planning. Now there's a specific one I want to share when Joshua will advise me, Mom, give me at least 24-hour notice. I was very proud that he was aware that he needs time. And this is coming back then to that strategy. Basically, the no signal and communicates that they are not comfortable, is beyond their ability, or something that is not enabling mereka to tuju hadapan lah. So it comes back to basic 101. planning it, giving it time, giving it predictability, I think is what Joshua is trying to let me know. And we put it into practice. Now, then, don't forget, part of that diagnostic criteria of autism is they need to have routine, kan, to feel comfortable and safe. So if we go back to fundamentals, then I love what Didi remind us. Then we can also continue to stretch, kan? We bagikan dia pengalaman, just involve them, but remember always to be safe for them. When we introduce something new, be able to pull it back, right? So that power play needs to change to the more caring part, that when you ask the why, to be curious, why are they not wanting? And it could be as simple as they don't enjoy it. Kan? And so then the other strategy that we can put in is perhaps to give them the choice. Arnab farm this week, the farm with the rabbits. Or the bird park. And both will give the opportunity still to introduce new experiences. So that give them the sense of having some level of control. Yeah. Earlier when you were describing the PDA, we discussed earlier, this is not mainstream yet, but it's important for us to learn. In Kita family, we are always here to learn together. Now, the demand and avoidance is typically what we talk about in anxiety that pushes towards trauma. And if you remember the 3 Fs, the avoidance is that flight, kan? So it comes back to being very aware of how they feel. And that's, again, that strategy of that regulation, being aware of their emotion, being aware even just from their tonality. The example about not wanting to go to swimming when we know swimming is very good from many aspects, from motor planning, from strength. So I think being aware and supporting it and reducing demand to a more appropriate level. These are a couple of the things we can be mindful of.
Okay. Desiree, any strategies?
I want to add on to what Kakak said. I think it's also about building trust, right?
Absolutely.
So the example of the swimming pool again, we used to struggle with Hans. Masuk swimming pool, dia tak nak keluar. Right? So it's always a struggle lah. So of course, gaduh dengan mak, bergaduh dengan bapa. Everyone ends up in a meltdown at the end of it. So then we thought one day, okay, dia suka sangat main air. Why not we take him water theme park? Just let him have it out. Sampai dia tak boleh jalan pun, just leave him be. Make sure it's a hot day. He's not having the flu, no running nose, whatever. So we let him have his whole day of fun in the water theme park. Sampai he came back a few shades darker until dia sendiri came out from the pool tired.
Okay.
And when I just got that cue that he was tired, I'm like, Hans, shall we go? Dia keluar je. It was like magic. My husband and I looked at it like, wow. So then we told him, but Hans, we promise you we will come again. Few months later, bawa dia tempat saman, bagi dia main. And this time we initiated and said, okay Hans, it's time to go. Dia keluar. There was no fight because we lived up to our promise. So I think the point is, kalau kita dah promise anak kita, oh, I will bring you again, let's live up to that promise. Because then you build that trust, then you don't have that no struggle so much.
Okay. Didi, any strategies from you?
More like nak kata reminder ke advice ke sharing lah.
Yeah.
Having 2 neurodivergent teenagers kan with certain personality lain, individuality kan. And then of course we want them to feel that they have their own autonomy kan. Apa yang you nak, apa yang you tak nak. So family activities tu tak boleh semua benda tu buat bersama-sama. Kami berempat. Mesti ada Daddy, mesti ada Afia, mesti ada Amy. Tak semestinya. Tak boleh macam tu. Kalau nak tunggu semua benda yang Afia nak buat, baru Amy boleh buat, nanti banyak yang benda yang Amy minat, dia tak boleh buat sebab tunggu Afia. Mungkin ada yang Afia nak buat, tapi Amy tak nak buat. Amy already said no. Oh, Afia pun tak boleh buat. Tak boleh macam tu. Because memang kita perlu respect the boundary that they set up for themselves. Ada yang mungkin out of their comfort zone ataupun bukan minat kan. Jadi I think it goes to other families yang mungkin hanya ada seorang anak neurodivergent and ada lagi 3 orang anak neurotypical. Jangan hadkan your life dengan apa preference seorang anak itu sahaja. You really have to balance it. Don't lose yourself as well. Hanya kerana anak tak nak itu, kita sebagai ibu padahal selama ni minat ni. Macam contoh lah kan, saya minat tengok K-drama, tapi anak-anak saya tak suka. So kita pun anak tak suka lah, anak suka tengok cerita lain, kita pun tak tengok. Tak boleh macam tu. Because you need to ada ruang untuk diri sendiri juga.
And coexist.
Yes, coexist. So find ways to coexist. So at the same time, memang bila kita menunjukkan, okay, you don't want to do it, but we still want to do it, but we will keep it down, tak ganggu you. And then lepas ni kita buat apa yang you nak buat pula. So it shows that macam semua orang ada peluang. Okay, hari ni kita keluar pergi makan, Afia pilih, Afia nak makan sushi. Okay, esok nak pergi makan, yang Amy pilih. Tapi Afia tak nak. Afia tak suka makanan yang ada di restoran tu. So kita kau team lah dengan Afia. Afia, kita beli something that you eat first so that you won't go hungry but you still come with us. So we still go berempat and you tak lapar. Takkanlah macam biar je dia kan, dia dah tak nak makan apa dekat restoran tu tapi dia berlapar. So not like that lah. So find ways dalam all the tidak no itu, kita cari jalan lah. Jalan tengah. So that
compromise.
Macam Anit cakap, coexist, compromise and be happy as a family.
Thank you. Okay, so that was a very good episode on the power of no. And if there's one thing we want to get across is tidak bukan semestinya melawan. So itu adalah tema kami pada hari ini. Then so that means no is not always defiance and not always being difficult. So we hope you got that across. We would like to hear from you as parents, our listeners, as to what you have encountered when a child says no to you and how you have figured out your child's preferences, which may not be so apparent until a certain situation. Please share your experiences. We love to hear from you. And especially on the power of no, the very first word that we use when we bring up a child. So with that, thank you for joining us at Kita Family episode 75. Please like, share, subscribe if you haven't done so. Share our content with your friends if you feel it would help another. As educators as well, this may be an important enough episode for you to give feedback, and please do so. We will be waiting to read all your comments and to hear from you. Thank you very much again. We are on Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, and also YouTube. Catch us on all these platforms. Until we meet again, thank you. Signing off. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.